If you ever said everything is okay, this teaching is for you. Do not take it as just another phrase or as empty word correction. What you are about to hear can change the course of your entire life. Every word you speak opens or closes a door in the invisible world. There are doors of light and doors of shadow, and the tongue decides which one opens. I am Rabbi Jacob. Before continuing, pause for a moment. Subscribe, leave your like, and activate the bell. Do it so that this teaching reaches more souls and more families can escape poverty. It's not for me. It's for the light that must multiply. When I first spoke these words in a small synagogue, I observed how some people nodded without fully understanding, as if something inside them moved when they heard the warning, but still without knowing why. The truth is, no one taught us to use the tongue as a sacred instrument. We grow by repeating inherited phrases, copying what we hear without evaluating how those words shape our destiny. And yet, since the beginning of time, the Torah has taught us that the power of life and death is in the tongue. It is a power that many ignore, but it operates in every word we say, even those we repeat without soul. When you say, "Everything is fine," you believe you are declaring peace. But in spiritual language, that phrase can seal the cycle of your life without you noticing. It can stop processes, cut blessings, close invisible portals, not because the phrase is bad, but because it is static. Spiritual life is sustained by movement. Shefa, divine energy, flows like a river. It does not stay in ponds. It does not dwell in souls that declare everything is complete when it is not. The Creator did not create motionless rest, but purposeful rest, a pause that drives growth, calm that prepares expansion. Everything alive changes, and everything that stops changing begins to die, even if it appears stable on the outside. I saw this in a man named Samuel, a respected merchant in our community. Whenever asked how he was, he always responded with a fixed smile. "Everything is fine, Rabbi." That smile seemed to be strength, but it was a shield, and with each repetition, it was as if he built thicker walls around his soul. One day he came to see me after his business collapsed within weeks. He said, "I don't understand. I was always grateful." I replied, "You confused gratitude with complacency, Samuel. One opens doors, the other closes them." Because true gratitude is not passive. True gratitude recognizes blessing, but also recognizes process. It says, "Thank you, Adonai, because I am still growing." It does not say, "I am already complete." The grateful soul does not stagnate. It expands, and when it expands, it attracts blessing. That is the key that so many forget. The universe does not respond to dead silence. It responds to movement, to intention, to the living word. I myself learned this principle many years ago when I was studying in Jerusalem. There were nights when I felt that my life had stagnated, that I was neither moving forward nor backward. On those days, I repeated the phrase, "Everything is fine," as if I wanted to convince myself of something my soul knew was not true. An old teacher took my arm one afternoon and said to me, "Don't say that, Jacob. Every time you do, you close a cycle without completing it. Declare what is real, that you are on a journey." That simple correction changed my life. It changed my studies, changed my energy, changed my destiny. Because words not only describe your life, they direct it. The mouth is a compass. In the Zohar, it is written that the word of the righteous builds worlds, and the word of the fool destroys them. But what many do not see is that destruction is not always explosive. Sometimes it is silent, like the erosion of a rock by water. Every time you say, "Everything is fine," without feeling it, without intention, without truth, you wear down your soul a little, as if you were extinguishing a fire that was lit to guide you. That is why the sages of the Talmud taught that there is no neutrality in words. Each yes creates a path. Each no destroys it. Each empty phrase filled with shadows darkens the spiritual hallways, and each conscious word illuminates worlds. Language is not an ornament. It is architecture. When Adonai created the universe, he did not use tools, he used words. "Let there be light." And light was made. And that act taught us that words are not sounds. They are forces. Forces that continue to operate within you every time you speak. That is why, when you say, everything is fine, you are pronouncing an earthly version of, let the light stop. And the light stops. Many think I am exaggerating, but observe your life. How many times has your energy gone out when you declared calm? How many times when you said, I'm fine, did you stop asking for help, stop learning, stop moving forward? The soul feels it, the sky hears it, the movement stops, and what stops gets sick. I'm not telling you to live in complaint nor to announce your pain to everyone. I'm telling you that your words should have movement. Don't say, everything is fine out of reflex, but say, I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm processing. That is the difference between closing a door and opening a portal. The Shefa flows only where there is expansion. The source does not feed dead ponds. It feeds rivers. When I started teaching this, many mocked it, but then they privately came to tell me that something inside them resonated with this truth. I remember a young man named Daniel who always responded with that phrase when he lost his job. He kept saying it in front of his family. He didn't want to worry them, but inside he was withering. His spirit was tired. When he came to me, he was empty. I taught her to change the phrase to another. I am learning to trust the process. 2 weeks later, she returned and told me, it feels like my soul is awakening. Because the language of the soul is not appearance, it is the truth. And when you speak the truth, even in pain, the sky responds. When you say, it hurts, but I keep going, the universe hears faith. When you say, everything is fine, while your spirit screams, the universe hears denial, and denial blocks healing. What you deny rots in the shadow. In the Torah, all miracles begin with an honest declaration, we have run out of wine. My daughter is sick. My soul is troubled. That sincerity is the beginning of the miraculous. Not because God needs your confession, but because you need it to open the channel of blessing. I saw this in a woman named Esther. She had been repeating, I'm fine for years, even though her marriage was falling apart and her emotional health was wavering. When he changed his language and began to say, I am healing, his life took a turn. Not because words are magic, but because they are coherence. Coherence is a magnet for blessing. The soul has its own language, and that language is authenticity. If you contradict it with empty phrases, you disconnect from yourself and no one prospers from disconnection. Your first act of healing is to name what you feel. Saying everything is fine is denying that act. That's why I tell you, do not fear admitting your wound. Vulnerability opens portals that false strength keeps closed. Remember this, God does not bless those who pretend perfection. He blesses those who acknowledge their truth. When you start speaking with truth, heaven hears movement. And where there is movement, there is life. But when you repeat hollow phrases, heaven hears closure, hears a sleeping soul resigned, hears stagnation. And the energy of the eternal does not descend on stagnation but on what dares to flow. Many have asked me, Rabbi, why is saying everything is fine so harmful if it sounds so positive? Because spirituality is not driven by sound, it is driven by intention. It doesn't matter if the phrase is beautiful if the intention is empty. The universe responds to the vibration behind the words, not to the ornament of the syllables. Saying everything is fine when it's not is like showing a house with freshly painted walls while the beams are rotten. From the outside, it looks beautiful, but it won't withstand the weight of time. The same happens with the soul. The appearance of strength does not replace true healing. Fake calmness does not replace authentic movement. That's why I tell you the right word is creation. A word aligned with your process opens invisible paths. In contrast, inert words build walls. I have seen people lose years of their lives trapped in that silent prison of 3 words. I remember a young man named Matthias, son of immigrant workers, used to hiding everything he felt because he didn't want to worry his parents. Every time his mother asked how he was doing, he replied, everything is fine, Mom. But it wasn't fine. He had anxiety, he was afraid, he had sleeping dreams. That phrase became a shield that isolated him even from those who loved him. When he finally dared to admit his tiredness, he cried for the first time in years. He told me he felt ashamed. I responded, Shame doesn't come from the truth, Matthias. It comes from repression. And when he started speaking sincerely, he rebuilt his life from the inside out. The sky does not respond to strategic silence. It responds to spiritual sincerity. And sincerity does not mean complaining or dramatizing, it means recognizing what the soul experiences without disguising it. The Torah says that God draws near to the broken heart. Why? Because the broken heart is open. A heart that only repeats, "Everything is fine," is sealed. Nothing enters, but nothing also leaves. It is an airtight container that ends up suffocating the spirit. Abundance does not reach sealed containers. It reaches open containers. That is why, when you say, "I'm tired, but I still trust," your soul opens up. When you say, "I'm in process," heaven sees space to fill. When you say, "I'm learning," blessing finds a door to enter. I learned this not only in my studies but also in my own life. There was a season when I myself repeated that phrase without feeling it. I thought it was a way to be strong, but in reality, it was a way to hide. When I started to say, "I'm not okay, but I keep going," I felt as if a breeze of fresh air entered my spirit. That breeze came from the eternal God does not bless masks. He blesses naked souls who dare to show themselves as they are. Once, a woman named Rebecca came to see me. She was a mother of 3 children, working day and night. And yet when she was greeted, she repeated, "Everything is fine." It was almost automatic, but her body told a different story. She was exhausted, without strength, with no sparkle in her eyes. When she sat in front of me, I asked her, "How are you really?" She remained silent for a moment. Then her lips trembled. "I am tired, Rabbi. I feel alone. I am afraid. I don't know how to go on." That phrase was more powerful than 1,000 empty prayers. Her soul spoke, and when the soul speaks, the heavens respond. In the following months, her life began to change. Not because her financial situation improved immediately, but because she stopped living disconnected from herself. Connection is the first step of the miracle. Disconnection is the first symptom of spiritual death. That's why I ask you to listen to this teaching with an awakened soul, not as someone who hears another talk, but as someone who receives a key. Because what you're hearing is not motivation, it's practical Kabbalah. It's the secret language that moves blessings in your life. It's the code that opens the flow of Shefa. Shefa is not money. Shefa is not luck. Shefa is divine energy that descends into your life as provision in all areas: emotional, spiritual, economic, and family. And the Shefa flows like a river that needs a dynamic channel. If you say everything is fine, the river understands that there is no longer a need to move, and it stops. And when the water stops, it becomes contaminated. The same happens with the soul. A stagnant soul loses vitality. Once an elderly teacher told me something I never forgot. "Jacob, life doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for movement, and the movement begins with the tongue. Before your feet walk, your words walk for you. Before your life changes, your declarations change. Before the miracle falls, your mouth calls it or drives it away. That's why observing your language is observing your destiny. If you say, "I am progressing," your soul progresses. If you say, "I am learning," your mind opens. If you say, "God is working in me," your spirit receives guidance. But if you say, "Everything is fine," your life goes into pause. It's the most dangerous pause because it doesn't seem bad, it seems calm, and that calm becomes anesthesia. There are people who have been anesthetized for years without knowing it. They keep living, but their spirit is asleep. They follow routines, repeat inherited phrases, survive, but do not thrive. And spiritual prosperity is not having more things, but having more life, more light, more purpose. The phrase "everything is fine" kills the purpose because it leaves no room for the next chapter. It's like a writer closing their book halfway through saying, "It's complete." It's not. And neither are you. One day I met an elderly man in a park. He was sitting on a bench looking at the trees. He told me, "Rabbi, all my life I said I was fine even when I wasn't. I lost opportunities, friendships, connections because I never made space for God to help me. I asked him, "And what do you say now?" He smiled. "Now I say that I am still living, that I am still learning, that as long as I breathe I can change." And his face radiated a peace I had never seen before. It was not the peace of stillness, it was the peace of conscious movement. Because true peace is not immobility, it is harmony in expansion. It is the state of the soul that recognizes its wound, but also its path. One of the deepest teachings of Kabbalah says that light enters through cracks. Your cracks are not your shame, they are your portals. But if you close those cracks with empty phrases, you block the entry of light. That's why admitting your tiredness does not weaken you. It opens the way to receive strength. Admitting your process does not expose you. It honors you. Heaven honors truth. The universe honors authenticity. The soul honors movement. I have seen people who changed just one phrase, and their entire life took a new direction. A woman who used to say, "Everything is fine," began to say, "I am healing," and started to regain her emotional health. A man who used to say, "I no longer need more," began to say, "Adonai continues to work within me," and new opportunities knocked on his door. A young woman who used to say, "That's just who I am," began to say, "I'm learning to be better," and her inner life blossomed. Because words change the vibration, and vibration changes reality. That's why I tell you, stop repeating inherited phrases. Don't say, "Everything is fine" out of habit anymore. Don't use your tongue as an ornament. Use it as a tool. Use it as a key. Use it as a lamp. The right word at the right moment can revive a sleeping soul. That's why this teaching is not just advice. It's an invitation to awaken, to stop living on autopilot, to reclaim your soul's voice, to speak with intention, to declare life, not appearances, to open the doors you've closed unknowingly. Because when you say everything is fine, you disconnect from divine movement. But when you say I'm progressing, you connect to the frequency of creation. And creation is never stopped. Creation always expands. One day I was invited to a meeting with several spiritual leaders. Among them was a very respected elder, a scholar of great wisdom. During the conversation, someone asked him how he was. He smiled serenely and said, "I am in transition." That phrase was etched in all of us. He did not say he was okay. He did not say he was bad. He spoke the deepest spiritual truth. I am in transition. Because the soul is always moving toward something. The spirit is always progressing toward the light. Life is not a fixed state. It is a continuous process. And those who recognize their transition pave the way for restoration. Meanwhile, those who say everything is fine close the door and remain trapped in a present that does not represent them. The Eternal did not call us to paralysis. He called us to growth. Life was not given to us for stagnation. It was given for fruitfulness. To be fruitful means to expand light, purpose, wisdom, truth. But nothing grows within a soul that declares it no longer needs to grow. That is why when Abraham was called by God, he did not say, "Everything is fine here where I am." He said, "Hineni, here I am, ready for what's next." And that attitude opened the greatest story of blessing ever told. That is how the vibration of the awakened soul resonates. Here I am, willing to move forward. The phrase, "Everything is fine," tells life. Don't move forward. The phrase, "I am growing," says, "Here I am, move me." I remember a young woman named Sarah. She always repeated that phrase because she didn't want to worry herself or anyone else, but her spirit was dimmed. One day she decided to change it to, "I am healing." That simple shift created a space in her soul that was previously closed. She began to cry, to write, to express, to allow her truth to come out in a few months. She regained the spark she had lost. She told me, "I didn't know a phrase could carry so much weight." And it's true. A phrase can lift or topple, open or close, awaken or sleep. That is why the Torah says that life and death are in the power of the tongue. The tongue is not a muscle, it is a portal. It is a bridge between what you are and what you can become. And that bridge can lead you toward expansion or stagnation. It all depends on the words you choose to cross. I have seen entire families flourish just by changing their language. I remember a mother who always said, "As long as there is health, everything is fine." But that phrase confined her to a mindset of limitation. I taught her to say, "Thank you for the health and for what God will still expand." She began to grow in her business, her emotional life, her spiritual life. The soul responded to the movement. The soul always responds to movement. Divine energy flows through you to the extent that you allow it to flow, and words are the gate. An open gate allows passage. A closed gate stops everything. That's why I don't ask you to be okay. I ask you to be alive, to be awake, to be in motion, to speak with conscience, to say what your soul truly lives. Because your soul is never okay. Your soul is growing, healing, progressing, learning, expanding. Elevating your soul is a constant movement toward the light. Saying, "Everything is fine," denies that movement. Saying, "I am progressing," honors it. One day, while walking through the streets of Jerusalem, I heard an elder pronounce words that seemed simple but held power. "Thank you, Adonai, for what was, for what is, and for what will be." That phrase is pure life. It acknowledges the past, honors the present, and calls forth the future. It is the perfect vibration of spiritual movement. And I understood that this is true gratitude, gratitude that does not close but opens, gratitude that does not stop but propels. The gratitude that does not say everything is fine, but says everything is on its way. Because as long as you breathe, everything is on its way. You are not a finished being. You are a living process. You are a story in construction. You are a symphony still being written. And every word you pronounce adds a note. What music do you want to write? A stagnant melody or a growing melody? There is a word in Hebrew that I deeply love. Hitbodedut. Hitbvddvt. It means speaking with God from inner truth, not from appearance, but from essence. And when you practice that intimacy with the divine, you discover that your soul does not want false calm. It wants sincere movement. It wants to move forward, to expand, to reveal. And it only achieves this when you stop hiding behind learned phrases and start speaking from your authenticity. That is why I invite you to abandon that phrase forever starting today. Do not repeat it anymore. Do not teach it to your children. Do not use it as a shield. Do not let your words close what God wants to open. Every time you are about to say, "Everything is fine," replace it with, "I am in process. I am progressing. God is working within me. My soul continues to walk. Everything is being transformed." And you will see how your vibration changes. You will see how your environment moves. You will see how the sky sends signals. You will see how stagnant energy begins to flow. You will see how the Shefa, that divine current, begins to manifest, because heaven does not bless what you pretend. It blesses what you reveal. Do not fear to reveal. Do not fear to feel. Do not fear to speak from your center. Do not fear to show your transition. God does not seek perfection. He seeks honesty. He seeks movement. He seeks souls that say, "Here I am not finished yet." That is the most powerful prayer that exists. I want to close this teaching with the deepest desire of my heart, that your words become doors to your expansion. May your tongue be an instrument of light. May every phrase you utter open a portal. May your soul awaken. May your spirit advance. May your life flow. And may you never again imprison yourself in the jail of "everything is fine." Speak with awareness. Speak with purpose. Speak with truth. And the truth will set you free. Shalom.